Hoosier Sophisticate, WGNU, with your hosts, Craig Kohler and Stephen Elgin.
Most of us feel I, ego, myself, my source of consciousness, to be a center of awareness and of a source of action that resides in the middle of a bag of skin. 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 In the middle of a bag of skin.
What's up, y'all? Now you can hear me, can't you? Woo-wee, that's a little hot. That's a little hot.
Now
That's
you're
a little
louder.
hot. Check me out over there. Guys, we had a little technical difficulty. It doesn't happen often, but they put some new gear in the room. We got our normal board op isn't here, but we got Seth in the building.
It's terrible, obviously. It's obviously a terrible
And it was
thing.
not Seth's fault.
I literally fixed it.
You did fix it on the fly. Thanks for sticking with us. Welcome to Hoosier Sophisticate. St. Louis, you have so much to be proud of. I'm going to just repeat what I said while you guys were sitting there not letting me
Hey,
know
did
that
you
nothing
see
could
me-
be here.
Did you see me save it?
We were just...
I went
I
Adam
did.
Levine.
Yes.
I went Adam. If he taught me one thing from the Super Bowl, you just start
gotta get a
selling your
little
body.
worm.
You're a little pitchy.
Yeah.
Pop that top off.
No doubt.
St. Louis, we are. I'm so proud of them. I can't even.
We have all of the reasons in the world to be proud. I'm so proud of all the people that put on MoCannBizCon this week.
Can't even.
It was amazing. And I'll tell you what, as a St. Louisan, I got to go to Union Station. That's right. That little place. It's like a ghost town, or so many people would think. Guess what?
Haven't been there in a
Not
while.
this week. Haven't been there in a long time. There's a lot of big doings down there. What used to be the whole mall and everything, they're making that into a world-class aquarium.
Okay, there's a lot of
Gonna be a
construction.
big
Did
deal.
you see any?
I didn't see a shark.
I saw it. We saw a dead.
Here's
carp.
what I did see a dead carp. But it was taken care of by halfway through the day. So like they were at least aware of
The other carp
situation.
ate it.
Yeah, for sure. Grass carp. They're just
Grass carp is
they're an invasive species. I've had it up to here with them, with the grass carp.
I'm done with grass carp.
Listen,
Go on,
guys,
go on,
in
go on.
Union Station, front to back, 150, maybe
Sad to
200 vendors directly, indirectly related to the cannabis industry. Thousands of people came through to just see where they're going to be able to fit in. And that's what's so cool about it. I went to a networking meeting on Wednesday. It was, we have a speaker rotation, and it just so happened to be Daddy's Week.
Ooh.
Tell people what's the latest and greatest in the promotional advertising industry.
Here's a new best pen.
You're crazy to put your thing on anything cheaper than this. Where I'm normally living. Okay. I basically looked at this room of my peers, my networkers, and I said, what are you doing? What are you doing to fit into the cannabis industry? Because
You're so
nobody in here has an excuse not to see windfall profits from this burgeoning industry that has been dropped on Missouri like a meteor. Are you a drywaller? Are you a drywaller? Are you an electrician? Do you do floors? Guess what? A lot of build out's going to be going on. Are you a surveyor? You need to check out, you need to survey some hemp farms. Guys, there is something for everybody with this, and the conference reminded me of that. And it also reminded me that there could be, 15 different CBD vendors at a place like this, right? And none of them are mad or throwing shade at one another. There's nothing but love in the place because there's enough for everyone to be successful. And MoCannBizCon.com will give you as good a CBD as you'll find anywhere. I'll say it right here. Hemp oil, CBD, MoCannBizCon. They got hemp honey now. They got hemp honey. Have you called James Carlton yet? Probably not. He sponsors the first hour. Are you very grateful for it? Clearly not, because I'm not able to give you any honey. Actually, not true. Had a call today. Hey, what was James'
Really?
number again? I got to give him a call about my insurance. I left it over in my office, and I'm at home today.
961-4800.
314-961-4800. Call James Carlton State Farm. He makes the first hour possible. But MoCannBizCon, if you enter HOSO at checkout, you're going to get 15% off your entire order site-wide. Check out the hemp honey. You know what I did with it yesterday? Threw a little spoonful in my bottom of my coffee mug. I brewed up some liquid nitrogen coffee. I mean, nitro fuel, poured it right over the top of that. And it was like I don't know. It was a little fast, a little slow. You know what I mean? Had a little CBD, helped me get going. had a little jet fuel coffee to get my day started. I went up there and I yelled at a bunch of adults about where they fit into the cannabis industry. That's where I was at.
A spoonful of honey makes the medicine the honey.
Yeah, the
medicine the honey.
It was great. So I highly encourage all of you to check out the hemp honey from,
Hey, you know
from
what?
MoCannBizCon.
You came in here all hot and bothered, and I could tell you're fired up. You're fired up about St. Louis, and I love that about you. You love your city, and I could tell that conference. I was like, I'm seeing my man in action here. But you kind of came out with the MoCannBizCon, and you're like, let me put it on the table. Everybody take a look. And that's what was crazy about the purple booth being right next to us with Daryl Bertrand and Aiden's Alliance, having those right next to us and having the purple testing unit,
buddy,
which is unreal. And old boy Jerry,
buddy, if you're watching online,
Jerry from Emerald,
look at this.
Jerry
I can do
from
this.
Emerald Garden.
I can do this legally. Hang on, let's do this again in the microphone. Ready?
Oh my God! That
Listen,
was loud,
I can do this. I can hold this on camera. What I'm doing is 100% legal, tested on the purple.
Whoop.
And he said it was about the highest and most accurate that he'd seen any CBD flower test to its labeling.
Jerry,
check this out. This
hot.
is what it's coming like. You're right. Jerry came in. He put it on the table. He said, "This is what I do. I grow the best CBD flowers. I'm the first one in Kansas City to do it. This is what's up. Throw it on the machine. Test my grow. This is unbelievable. I just held this up in the studio. I can carry this around. Now I'm sure, like I always think about that. Like, is a guy going to go off a label? Say, I better just take that to be sure.
Are they going to test you? Are they going to take it through the trouble of testing you? I'm sure some places will. It's all hit or miss.
But I tell you what, you know what? I'm going to keep this on me just because I'm going to prove a point.
Okay. Well, how about the Bolivar? We can get into that. The Bolivar gentleman.
And Bolivar, yeah, it's that thing made its rounds, and it really was. It made me a little excited about where we're at because I know just in our group alone, it was shared 12, 13 times. Like people were like, well, clearly this is a group that's going to get hot and bothered about this. Yeah. And they should have. A guy's terminally ill. He's in a hospital in Bolivar, Missouri. I've spent a lot of time in Bolivar. My kids' grandparents all live in Bolivar. Like that's
you take Route 9 down to
Polk County 13 on the way to Kansas City. That's all you got to do.
The roads everywhere.
Yeah. So, but anyway, typically good people. It's definitely a conservative community built of farmers. And what went on at that hospital is absolutely atrocious. And I mean, regardless of what's legal, what isn't legal, who is the person that's like, this guy's dying, I'm going to tell somebody that I saw something in their purse.
That's rough. It's
ridiculous.
I also don't want to deepen any divides between us and them.
And healthcare and law enforcement.
No, I'm saying law enforcement and drug users. And I'm using air quotes right now because with the cannabis industry, we've been at odds with the police our whole existence almost, so I don't want to keep staying that narrative, that it's like, oh,
no, I think the only way you beat it is to be their buds.
Yeah. I mean, I see,
and I already have a lot of.
I see where the cops are coming from. They're out there doing their job, and then of course you hear the argument like, "Well, the SS was just doing their job."
It's a silly argument. Yeah.
Isn't this America? I'm sorry, I thought this was America.
I did. It is America, and we're turning this place right back into great America again.
No, my point is let's before law enforcement got involved, before they were called, who is that person?
I know that's the person we should all.
That's
hate.
the person that we gotta change that person's mind. Come on.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a matter of changing minds, right? Like it's not like we're not gonna go, beat this person. Well, let's go like really show. But you know what's crazy? I mean, you know what I would show someone to convince them that this is medicine? I would show them someone that was stage 4 terminally ill. And how they were the only thing that was giving them relief was this medicine. And if that person is still like, yep, but it's illegal.
But I
got no time for you, Peckerwood.
Yeah. I got a revolutionary soul. I'm the guy who would wish I could go down the streets bumping, Sublime April 29th.
April 29th, 1992 is the name of the song. April 26th, 1992 is the lyric.
Thank you. Yeah. Very good. But that's who I want to be at heart. I want to do that stuff. I want to F the police and be like, yeah, riot. Let's get crazy.
Yeah, but they're us.
Exactly.
They're not. They're us. They're you.
I am. He is revolutionary heart. But let's use that power in a different way, baby. Let's do that, man. We don't have to get all
I know is we're going to recap the conference a little bit with Wendy Turner at 7:00. Steve, I'm juiced, baby.
Oh man.
I watched a documentary this week. It was really good. It was by one of my favorite comedians.
That's
He's
good.
a friend of the show. His name is Shane Mauss. We're going to call him at 6:30. If you don't go out and buy or rent his documentary, Psychonautics, a comedian's guide to psychedelics, it's amazing. Check that out. You can rent it through Amazon, iTunes, Google Play, wherever you can find it. It's worth a watch. I think, we'll talk to him about it a little bit, but I think it started out as one of those things where it was like a how-to to psychedelics, and it slowly kind of turns into something far different than that. And what's cool is they also splash some of his comedy bits in there and everything. Shane's a brilliant guy. His science podcast is great. Here we are. He talks about psychedelics every now and then, but really he's got some terrific scientists. He's going to be here next week, Wednesday, the 20th. I'm going out, got my tickets, super excited. I think $20 after fees, a ticket all in. It's going to be a good time. It's going to be educational. You know, there's an opening, a comedian, Dave Waite, and then a couple of local scientists, Sidney Scott and Tim Bono are going to be there. Maybe Tim Bono. Bono. I think it's Tim Bono.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. No, Jenny, I told her about Wednesday. We don't get out much. We got the kids, we're always trying to pick and choose. We're so popular. It's always like, pick and choose what you want to do.
Man, I'm telling you.
But I told her about Wednesday, and she's like, I never heard of him. I was like, he's been on the show. She's like, well,
Never heard of him? Oh, so you didn't listen.
I don't remember that. So I said, hey, let's watch this documentary, see what's going on. She was laughing her butt off at all of his stand-up, mini stand-up bits. Like, I love when he, to give a little bit away, when he said the joke about the Kager. He's like, oh,
it's one of my favorite jokes ever told.
I had a bunch of mushrooms.
Yeah, people have a bad experience on mushrooms. Yeah.
They go to a Kager and they're like, that was awful. I'll never do mushrooms.
And he's like, yep.
The
Kegers are awful. Mushrooms are trying to let you know.
Did you hear his bit about Mexicans coming over the border?
No.
He's like, you mean to tell me they're going to come here, bring me drugs, and do my job? That sounds great.
Sounds like a pretty sweet gig.
It's like they're going to bring drugs in and steal your job. He's like, I hate jobs.
Shane is going to be on here 6:30. I'm super excited to see him next week. We've already got a pretty good group out there. I know of at least 7 or 8 of us that are going to be out there. So if you get a chance,
I'll be there.
Yeah, you're going to be there.
We got Jenny and Missy on the line saying how awesome the documentary was.
Right on. Check it out. Psychonautics. He's on here at 6:30. I'm sure we'll pimp it a little bit more. We're going to definitely talk about the conference a little bit more. It was unlike anything I've ever seen. Like, as far as like, now when I say that in the sense that I don't know, even since I was a little kid, that I've ever seen that many people at Union Station. There was no parking.
No, one time back in '93, the fudgery was a pizzoppin'.
The pudgery was always
and
popping,
the up place where it had all the only St. Louis stuff, like the only place you can get St. Louis gear is up here, and that's where I get all my St. Louis gear, man.
Right on. You're a true Lou. Yeah, you're a true son of the Lou, man.
Autumn Blankenship says, saw y'all at MoCannBizCon. It was amazing.
It was so much
you're
fun.
right. The energy, and you get a bunch of positive people. And I want to say, I'm proud of you, St. Louis.
For sure.
The way you showed up in droves and said, hey, you know what? There's a $1 billion industry coming to town. I want a little taste of that. And also people who are like, there are patients out there. There's like Craig was saying earlier, there's a spot for everyone out there. We're going to need everybody too. That's the deal. You're going to need the people, like we talk about the big guys getting into the industry. Well, this is just a bunch of people getting together, meeting. I've never been to a conference before. You're into how that conference went off.
Mm-hmm.
It was exquisite, dude. It was so cool.
Well, what was really nice is, the whole main corridor was basically booths back to back. And then you had no choice but to just be enveloped by the entire industry. And it was cool, man. People with storage containers, people with shelves. There were CBD providers. There were organics people. There was hydroponics,
grow lights.
Grow lights. I mean, there was so much, man. I mean, it was really interesting to see that. But not to mention the speakers were phenomenal. They led off the deal with the guy that's, with Lyndall Fraker from DHSS, trying to kind of answer some questions, really doubling down and letting everybody know that they're committed to, putting together the perfect program.
I made the paper. You didn't.
Steve did make the paper and I didn't, which is great because they could have really capitalized on my Springfield fame.
Yep, they didn't.
But what they did was they cited our company that doesn't have a website. They're like, oh yeah, Stephen Elgin from Mycelial Media talked on a different sports station. I'm like, can they plug anything that we're currently doing. And Steve's like, no, this was the best news article ever.
I just love how he's like, I was in the paper. Like he has a radio show and he's like referring to
we're going
the oldest medium there is.
We're going
backwards.
Like
7 people.
Pretty soon he's going to be juiced. That Tonto is going to be doing smoke signals. Like Steve is on mycelial media.
Tonto, real
yeah,
juicy.
I said
I
it.
booked interviews with carrier pigeons.
Hoosier Sophisticate at gmail.com. You can also catch us on Facebook, our live stream, and the company that they mentioned in the paper is called Mycelial Media.
It really is. It's on YouTube.
You can watch us on YouTube, so you can get a hold of us in a lot of places. It was so cool to meet everybody. We did little interviews. You can catch them all on our Facebook page and probably up on YouTube here soon. But getting little chats with everybody and figuring out their backstory on how they got into the game. Maybe they were very anti-cannabis before, and then maybe a family member got sick, and then they started researching all the different stories behind these people and big dreams. It's cool to be around a bunch of big dreamers, man.
Yeah, man. And to build on that, we said it in a couple of the interviews before. We're seeing our peers. We're seeing 30 somethings and 20 somethings really kind of lead the charge, and bring older generations along for the, like, guys, we've been trying to tell you. And some of them probably, came from real hip upbringings where their parents were already pretty cool like with what they talk about, like Steve,
Cool
like just cool dad doing the Fortnite dances.
I had to take my son to task right before we came here.
I saw it.
Hopefully they're listening in the lobby on
Oh,
YouTube.
they are. And I hope they're shaking in fear.
Shout out to Landon and Oliver out in the lobby.
If they behave themselves, they may come in here in the last part of the show and,
You're right.
yeah, it's never going to happen. I'm going to make them stand right there and watch me be famous.
Watch me, boy.
So we're going to be working on getting Shane on the phone here. We got him there already?
Ladies and gentlemen, Shane Mauss.
All right. Let's welcome Shane. Shane Mauss, are you there, buddy?
I am. How's it going?
It is going so well, my friend. I had a chance to watch your documentary this week and just want to commend you, brother.
Thank you.
So great, man. So great.
Oh, thanks. I'm glad you dug it.
Yeah, we both bought it too. Like, we didn't do that deal where I just used his Amazon ID to get it.
Oh, you guys are sweethearts.
Yeah, for sure.
I bought my copy out of the back of a van on a burnt disc.
That guy's got to eat too, though.
Wow.
I'm helping the local economy.
Make sure and tell listeners where they can find that van so they can check it out.
He's got all kinds of cool stuff in that van, dude.
Yeah, for sure. There's like merch and everything.
Shane, man, you gotta hook me up with this van when I come to your town.
Yeah,
all right, man. We'll see you Wednesday.
Next Wednesday night, hang out for a little bit. Dan the Van Man's got all you can handle.
Yeah, he's babysitting my kids right now.
He's scalping tickets to the show at Helium.
Yeah.
Ooh, wow, hot commodity.
Let's talk about that a little bit, man. And we'll get into your documentary a little bit, but let's
Sure.
talk about your show you got coming up here next Wednesday at Helium. You're going to have a couple guests. You got Dave Waite, Sydney Scott, and is it Tim Bono? Is it like is it you two, or is it Bono like Sonny and Cher?
That's a great question. Haven't asked. I'll be meeting them for the first time at the show.
Sweet.
And so the show is Stand Up Science, and it's 2 comedians, which is me and Dave Waite in this case, and 2 scientists on each show. And I look up a different scientist, or I look up 2 different scientists in every single city that I go to. And sometimes I've met them before through my science podcast, Here We Are, where I have a different scientist on each week in my travels. But in this case, these were actually recommendations from a couple of my favorite past guests. I reach out to a lot of past guests and ask them for recommendations in every city that I go to. And that's who I was directed towards. And so that's a very long way of saying I have no idea if it's Bono or Bono.
Well, there you go. Now we got an icebreaker for you guys.
I think it's Bono.
Bono? Like Bonobo?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they're one of them is going to be talking about how is a psychology professor who's going to be talking a lot about our moral intuitions and how we in particular, I think she's going to be talking about how people panic about and dislike GMOs, genetically modified foods, even though that doesn't, I imagine what she's going to say is that doesn't mean anything, and that everything in the world is genetically modified. You're genetically modified. I'm genetically modified. and everything else, but why people are kind of so frightened by this, which I imagine she'll probably be talking about something called the naturalistic fallacy, where people often think that anything that is quote unquote natural, which also doesn't really mean anything, is somehow better, and it isn't necessarily the case. And then Tim will be talking about he's written a book on happiness and positive psychology. So a lot of academia and science and research is put into kind of the negative things, which is great. We want to get rid of our problems. It's, and cure cancer and diabetes and all these things. And then all these mental health issues that people have, like depression and anxiety and everything else. But science for a long time never focused on like, okay, but what if you just want to like be happier? Do you have anything for us, science? So there's this kind of new field called positive psychology that's sprung up over the last decade or two. That's really catching on and is a really interesting research. So they'll be giving some little like 12-minute talks about their research. So it goes. I host the show. I open with some comedy, some science-based comedy, and then I introduce one of my guests to give the talk about their research. Then I have Dave Waite do a really funny comedy set, and he's been on Late Night with Jimmy Fallon and Comedy Central and Last Comic Standing. Then I have another academic giving a talk about their research, and then all four of us at the end get on stage together, and I moderate a panel led mostly by questions from the audience, so everyone gets to be involved, and Dave and I get to riff a lot on the things that we just learned, and it's a really fun part of the show. So it's a lot of different. There's a lot of shifting gears through the show, and it's a really, really unique show. So
Cool, man.
I'm very excited to be in St. Louis, and Helium's one of my favorite clubs in the country. It's an awesome. I live outside of Portland, Oregon, at the moment, and there's a Helium in Portland as well that I regularly go to. I think there's 5 or 6 Heliums in the country, and they're some of the best clubs in the entire country. In fact, the stand-up science show I'm not even doing in very many clubs at all, because it's a very different show, and it's half science, half comedy. And so I don't want like a regular, there's a lot of like clubs out there that kind of pander to the lowest common denominator. And
boozy hecklers.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of performing in clubs is you're babysitting drunken bachelor and bachelorette parties and that sort of thing. And so a show that's half science is not the best fit for that kind of environment. That's why I only do it in select clubs that bring in like great acts like Helium does, that are like higher end, kind of classier venues. And I only do it on off nights too, so hopefully no one's showing up by accident hoping for a 100% like traditional comedy show, because there's nothing traditional about this show.
Cool. I'd have a rough time heckling somebody talking about science, like the Earth is flat.
Well, it's funny because when I do all sorts of marketing, and one of the things that I do is use social media, and there's a large part of this country that is very anti-science, without mentioning any political parties by name, and
you got a 50-50 chance of guessing.
and so I'll be posting my science show. Now I just told you what I'm going to be talking about, which is like positive psychology and then in GMOs and how people make purchasing decisions. She's a marketing professor, so we're going to be talking about marketing and positive psychology. But people they see the word science and immediately they're like, science. I heard science is a bad thing, and so I get a lot of yeah, exactly. So I get a lot of like on Facebook or Twitter, I'll get people, particular political party, going like, oh, is it about global warming? Because that's the joke. That's like the number one thing that I get from people. That's like, and it's a great show because it's a show that really weeds out the audience just in the name, because I don't want that guy coming to this show anyway. They don't want to come to it. So it's just a mutually agreeable arrangement.
Right on.
Yeah, good luck with that, because this town is born and bred in the dirty waters of Monsanto, sir.
Yeah.
So good luck with the GMO talk.
We're
Our
just north
third
of the
eyes
Bible
are
Belt.
physical, Shane. Okay.
Shane,
Hey, I'm not saying Monsanto isn't an evil corporation. To be sure, what I am saying is
our show is
oftentimes
sponsored by them.
if you're at a grocery store and it says GMO free, that's oftentimes just a way to fleece you out of a little extra money, and it doesn't really mean much of anything.
Makes sense.
No, it definitely does. Are there any aspects of science that really get you fired up? Like, you got any favorites? We always talk about AI and like the burgeoning technology around here. Is there anything that really fires you up?
I like AI. I haven't had tons of AI stuff on the Here We Are podcast, but I just started to over the last year or so, and introducing a little more of that. I'm always a futurist. I was always, early on in like my early 20s, I was into like, I want to upload my consciousness onto computers and that sort of thing. I'm less into that than I.
You mature, you get a little older, you don't want to upload your consciousness anymore.
Yeah, I just don't want to live in a computer forever.
Do you watch Black Mirror? Do you watch Black Mirror at all?
I do watch Black Mirror. It's a lovely show. Also Electric Dreams on Amazon.
Yes.
Shout out for them. A similar show that's also really good. But yeah, I love that kind of stuff. We had on Stand Up Science in Des Moines, I've had a couple people on, and I had a guy on my Here We Are podcast who works in the one of the largest virtual reality centers in the country, which is let's see, is it Ames, Iowa? I'm forgetting the university that it's at, but they do all sorts of insane virtual reality stuff where they're taking MRIs, and then they have a room that a doctor, a neurosurgeon, can go into this virtual reality room, and they're projecting MRI on these walls and giving them these goggles, so they're in this virtual, so they're virtually inside of the person's brain.
Oh my God.
And figuring out where like the particular brain aneurysm or something like that is in the brain, so they better know where to operate. I mean, it's a pretty interesting world that we're living in, and it's in Iowa, so they do a lot of agriculture stuff as well. So they build like virtual tractors before a tractor starts being built. They have like farmers actually come in and test the design virtually now before they go and spend a bunch of money on actually making the tractors, and so they're able to. Man, I took a tour of one of these labs, and my mind was just blown away. So yeah, I love that stuff. Evolutionary psychology and biology are a couple of my absolute favorite subjects. Probably my favorite idea that I'm obsessed with is kind of the mismatch between the world that we evolved in and we're kind of built for. Our DNA, which is just a set of instructions that we're kind of born with, is built for instructions for a world much different than the one that we're living in. And evolution works very slowly, and so our biology evolves very slowly, but our technology evolves insanely fast. And so there's a lot of mismatches between our hunter-gatherer, and I mean, there's hunter-gatherers. There's hunter-gatherers that used to hunt through persistence hunting, which would mean in the middle of the day, you'd basically run a marathon after an antelope, and an antelope, which because humans can sweat, we have the endurance to keep on running. And so we would keep on running after, and antelopes need to stop to breathe to cool themselves. All other animals do, except for us, who we can sweat to cool ourselves. And so we would be running for 40 miles in the blazing sun until this animal would just fall over from heat exhaustion. That's how our ancestors, some of them used to hunt. That's what they would do like daily. Now, I haven't taken a jog in like 3 years. So it's a very different world than the one we're kind of built for. And there's a lot of interesting stuff going on with that too.
I'm going to segue a little bit here, and
Sure.
I wonder if you
I'm sorry. I feel like a real blabbermouth on this conversation. By the way, I'm really
listen.
monopolizing.
People are tuning in to listen to you, not a couple of dicks in St. Louis. That's okay. So what I was going to segue here is, I know that your last tour, it seems like the last 3 or 4 comedy tours you have, and I think maybe even they touch on it in the documentary. The theme kind of changes a little bit, and maybe you were kind of spotlighted as a psychedelic comedian. Certainly the last time we talked to you, you were, I think, just wrapping up filming of Psychonautics, and so we talked about that. And by the way, I don't think there's any. We're trying to release the stigma every day with psychedelics, and I think about. I've listened, and I've listened to your, podcast all over the place, and some of the stories that you've told resonated so deeply with me. I swear, I met a guy that I met a guy at this cannabis conference we had in Missouri here for just a really big conference we had here since we just legalized. And I was like, have you listened to Shane Mauss? Because the way you approach this conversation is really scientific, and I really appreciate it. And I think you'll appreciate him. He's like, you're the 3rd person that said that. So I really appreciate how measured you are when we talk about things that some people are like, it's sort of the hippies and the woo woo. And I love the hippies. I've got a lot of hippie friends, but a lot of the stuff I have a hard time, the spiritual stuff. Sometimes I have a hard time with it, but I also appreciate it. And sometimes I've been in awe, and not to give anything away from your documentary, but I've had experience personally with ayahuasca where something was happening in the physical space that I was in, that I was basically in my journey. I'm sitting here thinking that I was like, I went through all these stages of time. Like at one point I was like this little Mayan kid playing in the mud, and then I come back up later and I'm like medieval times, and I'm like in this court, and then come back up later and I'm like in this just now the present, but like in a totally different person's body. And then in my futuristic evolution, I was just like this star that was communicating by blinking lights with other stars. And I know how crazy this sounds, people. I get it. But then my buddy,
it sounds crazy to people that have never had ayahuasca.
No, I get
it. and then when I come out of it, I'm kind of trying to maybe explain this. And before I can even say anything, my buddy's like, because I like to wrap myself up in a fitted sheet. I know it's really weird, but it's like a cocoon, man. It's awesome. I dig it. So anyway, it really helps. My buddy was like, I don't know what was going on under there, but it looked like a strobe light. And I'm like, are you serious? Because I haven't even told my story yet. So you've told some stories on some podcasts and even on your documentary, which I don't want to give that away but what is the scientific explanation behind that? I think that's the beauty of psychedelics. Is somebody who wants a scientific explanation. That's one of those things that keeps us searching for it. You know what I mean? I know I just blabbered myself, but like
I mean, you got me. I have been wrestling with that same question for a very long time, and this is like you said, I've been doing a number of themed shows for years now, and they all have, they're all kind of a different way of getting people interested in science, the science take on like mating, for example, or I made an album called My Big Break that was kind of about negative psychology and pain and why we kind of experience these things. So I put together this show about psychedelics, mostly because I was kind of frustrated. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the show, I perform a lot in comedy clubs to like drunken bachelor and bachelorette parties. And not every club is drawing as like awesome comics and audiences as Helium. And so you know, I had all these psychedelic experiences, jokes about them, and everything else that I wanted to share, and I just felt really confined in the traditional club environment. And so that was when I first started trying to. I was like, well, I'll try this at like a music venue and see if anyone's interested. It's just kind of a passion project, and it was. And psychedelics are such a great way to talk about science too, because they're a great inroad into psychology and neuroscience and all that. Because unlike any other drug that's kind of an escape from the mind, psychedelics are very much an inward journey. I mean, unless on ayahuasca you think you're going to different dimensions or something, which might also be the case. Who knows?
It's entirely possible.
But I just as like kind of a experiment, I tried this show out a couple times in some little indie bars, and like people went crazy for it. And I at the time had no idea how much interest there actually was. I didn't know there was that many people interested in psychedelics when I started doing the show. I don't know if it was 4 years ago or something like that. 4 or 5 years ago, and it just kind of blew up and became this huge tour that I eventually made a documentary about and talked with all the top researchers and everything else. But yeah, what is the scientific explanation for some of that stuff? I mean, when I kind of think about my DMT or ayahuasca experiences in hindsight, I often, when I kind of try to put on my scientist hat and rationalize some of these things, a lot of my kind of basic explanations for it is that I think that our brains and our internal worlds are far more vast and complex than we could ever imagine. I think that there is a multiverse of kind of perception inside of our minds, and the brain can switch between these perceptions very quickly. Like you're in a dream state. In a dream, you create this entire scene. You have people in this dream, like people that you know that you're creating, that you're now doing like this perfect impression of. You're writing this script for them, and you don't even realize that you're actually them and creating it. You're creating this whole world. And it can flip just like that. And now all of a sudden you can be in Egypt or something like that, or there can be aliens there, and your brain can construct these worlds so incredibly quickly. And I think you know, a lot of this has to do with us needing to be able to simulate and put together and predict future outcomes based on past events, where right now I'm trying to just select the words that I'm saying over the phone, and I think that there's operations in my mind that are running simulations of multiple alternative words and directions that I could go with this conversation that are happening in a split second. And then a different part of my brain is choosing which ones of those words to use. And so I think that when you're doing a psychedelic, I think potentially what you're doing is going into these worlds that look very much different than what our normal consciousness and perception is like. And probably the easiest metaphor, if all of that sounds incredibly confusing, I would say a really easy metaphor would, I'd compare what's going on inside of our heads to the movie Inside Out, the nice little Pixar film.
Oh, sure.
Which I think did a really nice, you know, it was for kids and everything, but I think it actually did a very nice, it was a nice representation of what I do believe is happening in the brain. I like that movie so much, I want to see a sequel to it called Outside In, where that girl, when she's an adult, smokes DMT for the first time.
Yes!
And pops down into that world. It's like, oh my God, there's this joyful God and an angry God and all these different worlds, and they're collapsing and rebuilding themselves. It would sound just like me describing a DMT trip.
Oh man,
Man, they're really
Pixar, make that happen.
They're really into jaguars down here. I don't know what the deal is. No, to go back to the AI thing a little bit. Craig and I, we have these talks about, what will humans be able to do better than the AI, or just different? And obviously, Craig will perish in some sort of man versus machine sex off, where who can pleasure more women, like John Henry on the railroad. So he's got that going for him. But we were also talking about the experience.
Oh, come on. We've already almost been replaced by vibrators. We don't stand a chance.
Now we're giving them facial expressions. Great.
But we were talking about tripping, like having a psychedelic experience. Will AI, or are they already living that in that moment? It's kind of a weird thing. Any thoughts on that?
Oh boy, can AI have its own psychedelic experience? Yes. Well, that kind of asks the question: what is a psychedelic experience? Is it just this mind-altering different perception, and does anything that is a different perception than what you're used to having qualify as that? I think that would be plenty easy to just have all of these various programs that just like uploading a new video game or something like that, AI can just upload these trips for themselves. And sometimes I think maybe we're living in a simulation right now, and this is in fact what's already happening. And
are psychedelics a way to go and see what's really there? If this
I don't know about that. I have fun thinking about the simulation idea. I'm not sure it matters one way or another if we are living in a simulation. It seems unlikely it seems like the inevitable outcome of everything is to, as scientists have even just the most rudimentary technology, computers are still really new. Humans have been around for close to 2 million years, and computers have been around for about 40. And mind you, we are just we are just apes. It's easy to forget that sometimes, but we're apes using these pretty rudimentary computers, and we're already building these simulations and these models ourselves and using them to explore physics or astronomy, or figure out logistics for your shipping company or whatever else. Mm-hmm. And it seems like the kind of natural path of things. So if that's the case, then you would think something that is more complex and sophisticated and had more time to work on things than we've had would build simulations of its own. And if you follow that logic, then what makes you think that we aren't already in a simulation? But can psychedelics help determine that? I'm not sure psychedelics can help necessarily reveal any kind of truth. I think that they can give you a different perspective. I'd be cautious to say that it's necessarily an accurate perspective. I think psychedelics are just kind of a reminder that there's a lot of different ways that we can look at life and think about our perceptions. And I think that they're just kind of a way of, for me, they're a way of opening up communications and a channel to our inner worlds that's normally kind of hidden from us. And we have a lot of subconscious processes that scientists study all of the time and can tease out through tests. And I think psychedelics are a way of kind of seeing some of these subconscious processes and biases and stuff like that we have. But I wouldn't say that psychedelics are necessarily revealing some ultimate truth or something like that. That kind of drives me crazy when people think like they smoked DMT once and then they like now know everything and have the ultimate truth. Because I think that just like goes to reason that we all can kind of go off the deep end a little bit and convince ourselves that any kind of reality is like the one true reality and is not to be questioned. And the idea that these are like considered sacred medicines kind of drives me crazy too, because I don't think anything is sacred. I don't think that word is very helpful in helping us better understand ourselves in this existence. So I think that they can be used as a tool to gain different perspectives, but I definitely caution against being like, I saw the truth, you know.
I want to ask you kind of a loaded question, a quick question before we got to wrap up
Sure.
the hour here. But there was a moment in your documentary where you were painting yourself with what you said was Syrian rue. Now I know Syrian rue to be kind of a monoamine oxidase inhibitor, an MAOI, and
Yep.
it's something that typically potentiates like a DMT trip if you were to ingest it. Right now, it appeared that you smoked DMT after you take. Did you find that the Syrian rue potentiated that trip and made it last longer than your typical 12 to 15 minute blast through the stars?
Yeah. You're supposed to have like a little splash of MAOI if you want to elongate your.
Yeah, you weren't wearing it.
I painted my body. So
like a Busta Rhymes video.
So it's probably not. Don't try this at home.
Yeah,
kid.
that's fine. Whatever. We're only on terrestrial radio. There's kids listening to this everywhere.
Just slide in the word allegedly once in a while.
Yeah,
It was an intense one. I hadn't done DMT in about 9 months at that point, which was kind of a long stint for me. DMT, which is already the weirdest experience anyone can have. By about the 100th or so time that I've done it, DMT was just starting to get too weird. It was getting weirder every time that I did it, and so I was taking a break from it, but I did it for the documentary, and things got real strange.
Awesome. Well, and real quick, typically, we're talking about NN and not. Do you have a 5-MeO experience? Did you mess with the toad or extracted 5-MeO?
Oh man, I was supposed to. There was one time when there was 2 different times when we were going to shoot that, and the timing just wasn't perfect, and I had never done it before, and so I was just waiting because I thought I had all the time in the world to shoot a 5-MeO trip, and so I was like, "Oh, I'll just do it later at a better time when we can have more of a crew here, and the set and setting are going to be visually better on camera and everything else." And so I waited, not knowing that I was going to lose my mind and have a manic episode with some psychosis and end up in a psych ward and have to stop filming the documentary and stop doing psychedelics. So there was a lot of things. Like I wanted to do peyote as well. I had my heart set on doing several. We had looked into doing iboga and ibogaine. We were setting up a trip to Mexico to do ibogaine, and then that fell through because of some sort of weird cartel stuff that shut down.
Which will really jack with your set and setting. If the cartel typically doesn't make the most flotatious environment to borrow a word from
maybe it will leave more to explore in another documentary. Sure. Maybe I'm done with psychedelics for some time. I don't know.
Right on, Shane. Well, listen, we really appreciate you joining us. I can't wait to come see you next week. What we got? Wednesday the 20th at Helium. You're gonna be it's stand-up science, and I've already got my tickets. Hopefully we'll be able to catch up with you. What do you wear? Probably a size large t-shirt.
Oh gosh,
extra large.
Nice.
Man, you seen that guy's feet?
Yeah, I'm a tall fella.
In the documentary, you got some long toes, fella. I like it.
A lot of barefoot shots.
I'm
not sure why the editor just loved putting.
He has a foot fetish, Shane. It's not that hard to figure out.
Quentin Tarantino directed it.
You're his Uma.
Shane, plug it. I want to let all our fans know Psychonautic. You can get it on iTunes, Google Play, Amazon, anywhere else you can get it. I guess maybe go to your website, ShaneMauss.com.
Yeah, if you go to ShaneMauss.com is a great place to find all my stuff, including my science podcast. Here we are. But on the documentary website, psychonauticsfilm.com, which you can find through my website. It has, because it's on Xbox and PlayStation, and it's on 30 other platforms.
Cool.
As well. So yeah, there's a lot of options for people.
Well, man, I sure hope, I sure hope everybody goes out there and checks it out. I want to say I was actually listening. Here we are. We were already talking about maybe reaching out to you just to talk about the documentary. And I'm driving into work. I was listening to your podcast with the gal about Iboga. It was fascinating. Yeah. And then at the end of that, he's like, I'm going to be in St. Louis, or these are the upcoming tour dates. And I'm like, oh, cool. When's Shane come? I'm like, oh, it's next week. Fantastic. Better reach out. I reached out to you, heard back from you right away. Really appreciate you reaching out to us, talking to our fans about the fun stuff. Guys. And we'll see you next week, man. Thanks so much.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Take care, pal.
Bye.
Guys, Shane Mauss. That was awesome. Any cooler? He's as cool. He's cooler on the other side of the pillow.
Man, I love that guy.
What about the other side of the break?
Let's jump to a quick break because we're up against it. I like your moves. On the other side of the break, we're going to talk to Wendy Turner from MoCannBizCon. Colton's crew, Illegally Healed. She's got a fascinating story. She was the media person for the conference. We're going to recap it a little bit. Everybody stick around. This is Hoosier Sophisticate on WGNU 920 AM. We'll see you on the other side of the break.
The good people of St. Louis City can be quite sophisticated.
Here we are in a universe that has nothing in common with us. We're just a sort of cosmic fluke. And therefore, the only hope for mankind is to beat this irrational universe into submission.
And at other times, pretty Hoosier as well.
I tried this one chili and it set my mouth on fire and I had to drink a 2-liter of Mountain Dew. Hoosier Sophisticate with Craig Kohler and Stephen Elgin. Fridays from 6 to 8 p.m. on WGNU 920 and streaming live at WGNU920am.com.
You can get an insurance quote anywhere. What people are really looking for is someone to help manage the risk of everyday life. And that's exactly what James Carlton State Farm does. He's also dangerously handsome. He has a dream in his eyes.
James Carlton has the best customer service in the game. You'll never get a voicemail, and you'll always get a great back rub.
He has the softest hands. A strong sense of community is important to who he is as an agent. From local school sponsorships to sandbagging during floods, it's paramount to be a part of the community. We love the cut of his jib.
Guys, call 314-961-4800. Find him online at carltoninsurance.net.
We wish he was our dad.
Lifetime.
Yeah.
It lasts a lifetime.
Come on.
It lasts a lifetime.
Yeah.
And just go Google it.
I wanna let those shingles down, girl, for you. I wanna let those shingles down, boy, for you. I'm gonna do some siding, get you excited. James Hardy siding, Google it.
Recap for a lifetime. You know I make your neighbors cry. Boo, boo. Cause we tell all them leaks go bye. And you know we all do the side.
James Hardy, boy, yeah.
Guys, Lifetime Roofing. They're the best roofers in the game, best customer service. LifetimeSTL.com. Google them. Oh, do you want to learn how to grow high-quality medicine from 4 of the best minds in the cannabis industry? You do? That makes sense. Well, on April 6th, you'll get your chance. Learn to grow from a pro. Search it on Facebook. Find out all the information there. You will be learning from the best minds in the cannabis industry. Learn to grow from a pro.
Dear Vet Ticks, it was nice to spend the night with my daughter and other veterans. It's so humbling to attend an event when you feel appreciated.
I had a wonderful time with my family. Thank you for the memories, Vet Ticks.
Dear Vet Ticks, thank you for a great experience and for your support of the military and veterans.
Thank you so much, Vet Ticks. Our family has gone through a lot the last few years, and this gave us a nice break.
Every empty seat at a concert, game, or special event is a missed opportunity to say thank you to a veteran or a service member. By giving your extra tickets to VetTix, you'll help America's heroes reduce stress, strengthen family bonds, and create a truly happy memory that will last a lifetime. So when you really want to say thank you for your service, give the experience, give the memory. VetTix. Give something to those who gave. For more information on how you can make a difference, go to vettix.org.
Say word. Last February, we held our first Hoosier Tattoo Day at Tower Classic Tattooing in the Grove. And I got to tell you, a lot of really sweet art happened on that day. Everyone who showed up left very happy with their new tattoo. The artist did everything they could to ensure everything, from the drawing to the application itself, was perfected and exceeded the expectations of each individual client. We packed the house, and the artist remained cool as a cucumber the whole time. If you got the itch to get inked, visit Tower Classic Tattooing, located at 4146 Manchester in the Grove. Check out their artist profiles at towerclassic.com.
Push away the paperwork and catch up on your sports every day at noon with the Brian Stoll Show.
The commissioner of the XFL, Oliver Luck, with us here.
I think we can do better than that in St. Louis, quite honestly, given the passion that exists there and the demand that I think will exist there, and the fact that I feel really strongly and very confident that we can put a really good product in the field that folks will say, wow, this is fun.
That's the Brian Stoll Show, weekdays at noon on WGNU 920 AM.
Serving the metropolitan area, WGNU St. Louis.
Let's face it, you're a product of a nutty society, and there are unexamined crevices and uncleaned out drain traps in all of us, and you're going to encounter that stuff. The good news is the earlier psychedelic trips tend to deal with that.
Say word, Radio Land. We're coming at you live with Steve and Craig on Hoosier Sophisticate, presented by Mycelio Media. Now, St. Louis, let's do this.
This is not tea, this is eating raw mushrooms. As soon as the mushroom enters my body, I sit and meditate.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Hoosier Sophisticate on WGNU 920 AM. You can stream us live on Facebook, on the Mycelio Media channel on YouTube. We had what a great conversation with Shane Mauss we just had. I hope everybody will look into getting their tickets to his show next Wednesday at Helium. I think $20 after fees all in. It's going to be a good time. We had a big week here in Missouri. St. Louis put on a heck of a show. The MoCan trade people with MoCannBizCon. It was a blast. We got Wendy Turner with us on the phone. We're going to talk a little bit about everything that happened here. Wendy, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
Oh man, we're fantastic. We want to just give our heartfelt thanks and congratulations for such an unbelievable event that you brought here to St. Louis. It was really cool to see an old landmark like Union Station brought back to life with this new industry. It was almost a peek inside of what I feel like the medical cannabis industry and eventually maybe the recreational cannabis industry is going to do for this area. So we want to congratulate you. Tell us a little bit about what everybody on the board, what you were thinking and how you guys feel about how the week went down.
Oh, well, first I'd like to thank everybody for coming out to the MoCannBizCon, and it was just a spectacular venue, spectacular energy. Everybody in the state of Missouri is hungry for cannabis, and it's just been fantastic. So I'm originally from Illinois, and I met Corinne Chester about 3 years ago in Colorado when she was doing a picture situation. I'm not exactly sure what it was, about families that had to move to Colorado from different states to seek medical cannabis for their kids. And ever since then, we've been fast friends, and we've kept in touch all these years. And when I moved back to Illinois, we worked on Amendment 2 together.
Awesome.
And making sure that it passed and making sure that it was right. And they did a fantastic job. We just kept in touch, and we were like, we really need to bring an expo to Missouri and show the people of Missouri what cannabis really is. And voila, that's what you get.
So
voila. Dropped a voila on us. I like that.
And it was tremendous. Do we have any idea roughly how many people came through the venue? Is that something that maybe you know off the top of your hand, roughly?
Well, the last count I had was 2,333.
That is really, really easy
And
to.
I didn't hear one person complaining.
Not one.
Which is weird. That's weird. That was a great deal. I did not overhear one person biatching up a storm up there. So that was good. You guys did an awesome job.
You really did. So Wendy, tell us this. How did you find your way into I understand that you have a little personal story with cannabis. How did you find your way in? Tell us a little bit about your story, and let's kind of go from there.
Okay. Well, in 2011, my son drowned in a Boy Scout camp lake, and I got the call that he had drowned and he was very sick. So we went up to get him, and it triggered the bacteria from the lake water triggered Crohn's disease. So we didn't know that he had it. We always thought that he was just a little kid. My husband's not that huge. I'm not a big person. My family, his family, not big people. So we just thought that he just got that gene, that he was just a little kid and that he was always going to be that. But he actually had Crohn's, and it actually started a flare. And he just got sicker and sicker and sicker. And we went to all of these westernized medicines to take care of his Crohn's disease, and it got worse until he was 3 means below the standard in growth. He was at growth failure. He was on chemotherapy. He was in a wheelchair. He was at failure to thrive. He was dying. I mean, simple as that. We didn't know if he would make it past 2014. We took him to the Mayo Clinic. He's been on every pharmaceutical that you can imagine. And he was diagnosed with tuberculosis, which was a misdiagnosis. He had his lymph nodes taken out, which was wrong. They didn't take his lymph nodes out. They actually took his salivary glands out. So he had a botched surgery.
Oh, geez.
The poor kid's been through hell. And I was tired of it. I was like, screw this. This is stupid. The more we fought this disease, the more in that rabbit hole that we went of pharmaceuticals. And my grandmother, who's Native American, kept saying, hey, you need to take him back to the earth, take him back to the earth. And I was like, oh, Grandma, and your Indian craziness. I'm like, no way. And so one day, I had an epiphany, and she was right. I needed to think about alternative treatments. And my husband had heard the show, the Weed Show with Sanjay Gupta and Paige Figge and Charlotte. And he was like, well, maybe something like that would help. And I had already been doing some research on cannabis, and I had found a study from Israel that said that cannabis beat placebo in the studies that they had for Crohn's disease. And this was smoking. And then we heard Paige say, oh, well, we're taking an oil. And we're like, well, maybe we need to do this. Maybe this is the way to go. It's an alternative. It's natural. And we could not find any side effects that were detrimental to his health, because the side effects were he's going to be hungry, he's going to have rest, and he's going to feel better. It's going to take away the inflammation. So we were like, okay, that's not cancer. That's not T-cell lymphoma. That's not tuberculosis. So we were like, screw it.
So he gets into Floyd a little bit. Who cares? You know?
Exactly. Well, he's kind of into Floyd anyway, and emo, and all that kind of stuff.
Gotcha.
So what do you do? He's a kid.
I get it.
So my husband and I had taken him to the doctor one last time, and got a colonoscopy, and he had 22 centimeters of diseased bowel and skip lesions. And he had ulcers and granuloma, and so it was precancerous. He was about, I think, 81 pounds, and he was 13 years old. And this was a couple of days before his 14th birthday. And we looked at each other and we were like, okay, this is it. We're going to take him to Colorado. And we told Colton and Skylar and Riley, our other two kids, that we were going to take Colton to Colorado, see if this medical cannabis stuff would work. And they, of course, they had questions, and we answered everything. We were very, very open and honest with our children. And on March 4th, a couple of days after Colton's birthday, which is February 29th of all days, because we can't do anything normal, my husband put him in the car, took him to Colorado. And that was 5 years ago. So on March 10th, I got a call from my husband, and they had taken him up to the pass in Colorado Springs across Pikes Peak. And he was walking around, and all of a sudden, my husband gets a snowball in the back of the head. And my husband turns around, and he's like seeing Colton running down this mountain.
Oh,
now, we haven't seen Colton run, let alone walk, in almost 2 years.
That is
so
incredible.
That was a huge like wake up call. He called me that night. We're both crying. This is a miracle, blah, blah, blah. And it actually really was.
Yeah.
But yet it was a scary situation too, because we were the only family in Colorado that had a child that didn't have epilepsy. So Colton was the first pediatric patient for Crohn's disease to use cannabis in the United States, if not the world. We have not found anyone so far that has taken cannabis sooner than Colton.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you for being brave. I mean, thank you for doing what I think every good parent would do if put in a position where hey, you want to be an outlaw, you want to heal your kid. Yeah, and you guys did it the right way and went where it was legal, and good for you. So proud.
Colton said, like, after going through all the crap that he went through, I mean, my husband made brownies, and he was making them in hotel rooms, and Colton was stuffing the doors so the smell wouldn't get out. Tommy was opening the window and cooking outside on the top of the pool roof. I mean, it was like it was Breaking Bad all over again. And so Colton comes up with this awesome phrase, and he's like, "I'd rather be illegally alive than legally dead."
Absolutely.
I got to ask you, Colton won Cannabis Person of the Year last year or the year before, I believe.
Advocate of the Year.
Advocate of the Year. How did it feel to stick it to who's the chick, Melissa Etheridge? Because I've been meaning to stick it to her for years. She wronged me at a concert in '96. I'm still not over it.
You weren't welcome at Lilith Fair,
So
Steve.
good on you, Colton. Good on you, buddy. But how was that whole experience?
I'll talk to her people and see if they can make that.
How was that whole experience?
It was amazing. I mean, here's my 15-year-old kid winning awards over Snoop Dogg and Melissa Etheridge.
Well, his parents deserve a pretty big award.
Absolutely. All cannabis OGs. Nice.
Yeah. I mean, it was incredible. I mean, this journey has been insane.
Did you get to meet Snoop and Melissa?
No, not yet.
Okay.
It's coming.
Yeah, we didn't meet Melissa. Melissa came to a Women Grow conference one year, and found out that Colton was in the audience, and she's like, I got to meet this kid. So I ended up getting.
She's all mad.
She came to his window.
Yeah, and she's like, "Hey, bring this kid backstage. I want to meet this kid." And she's like, "Oh, so you're the one that beat me out." And
That's awesome.
They had a great time, and it's just been wonderful ever since.
Well, good on you. I love the serendipity of certain things. Your name has bounced around here as an interview we should get for a long time. One of our greatest fans, someone that joined us on the Hoosier Cotillion, is related to you. The second hour sponsor, the hour that you're talking in, you're gonna be a part of that family here before long. So shout out to Jenna and Dustin. I know that they've been trying to get you out here forever. Your story is captivating. What was your position with MoCan Trade and with the whole conference and everything? How did that all work? What was your position there?
Okay, so I am the Director of Education for Midwest Canna Expos.
Okay.
I am the one that put majority, not all of it. I mean, I had help, but I got the speakers to come speak and put that all together.
Well, people had nothing but great things to say about the speakers, especially the show opening up with Lyndall Fraker. I believe he's with DHSS. Am I correct in assuming that?
Yes.
Yeah. So to open that up and to quell people's anxieties and to answer the big questions of how this is going to be implemented, the people, inside of the government agencies, there's a lot of people that are maybe a little uneasy about once we got this legislation passed, how is it going to be kind of picked apart? So I thought it was great to kind of start off the conference. Hey, look, here's DHSS. Let's get this right out of the way, right out the gate. So good on you there.
Thank you.
And I assume that your position with Colton, with Illegally Healed, Colton's crew, you had some pretty cool connections. Steve and I had some little short interviews with chemists from California, and the outreach that there were people from every state. It seemed like that were at this thing.
Genuine friends at that conference, Craig.
Well, you guys did amazing. What's something that we can do to keep people hooked with you? You guys are you already planning the next conference? Are you planning more events throughout the year?
We are actually planning a bunch of patient conferences, so patients can learn how to get their card, how to use cannabis friendly ways, and just what the laws are going to be, what the regulations are going to be in the state of Missouri. And also we're going to do a lot of work with the physicians and training physicians to make sure that they understand what their rights are and what your rights are. So it's very difficult. Like when we went to Colorado, our physician will not touch it. And you have to understand that physicians have a DEA scheduled license that allows them to prescribe, not recommend. Now, I have to be very clear that the cannabis is a recommendation, not a prescription. But they cannot prescribe cannabis because cannabis is still on the Schedule 1 for the Controlled Substance Act. They can recommend that you use cannabis. And that's all that they can do. Or they can get their DEA license revoked. Now, that hasn't happened a lot. There are physicians out there that are able to do that kind of thing for you with absolutely no problems. And we want the physicians to understand that, hey, listen, this is what the state says is okay. These are the rules, these are the regulations, and we want to educate physicians to make sure that they know those rules and regulations. And we're also doing a lot with the veterans. I know that Missouri's Amendment 2 had some caveats for the education of veterans and taking care of them. Some of the money that is raised, some of the revenue is going to be given to the veterans. So we'll have a lot of veteran events. That's coming up in November, actually. We're just going to educate wherever we can, whenever we can. We do it every single day, it seems like. Right now, this is an educational thing. I want people to understand that cannabis is not that scary, drug that everybody thought that it was back in the 1930s. It's actually a medicine, and it's not as bad as a lot of people think.
Oh, that truer words have never been spoken. And we always talk about ending the stigma. And Wendy, I just want to say, thank you for all the parents and to all the parents who have had to make those treacherous journeys across, imaginary borderlines to get their kids.
Refugees from their own states.
Yeah, to get their kids the medicine they need. I mean, we're working more and more every day. You're not alone. We're not alone out here. I hope people listening to this right now realize that there's hope. This is a medicine. It's coming to Missouri, and with programs like the ones you guys got going, we're at the base level. We're just learning, but we're gonna figure things out, and we're gonna get patients the medicine they need. Thank you so much. What's the website or where we can find this information?
Well, there's a lot.
Give it to us all.
Contact us. You can contact us directly if you have questions about patients or Crohn's disease or children at www.coltonscrew, and that's COLTYNSCRUE.org. Or you can get us at MidwestCannaExpos.com. We can answer all the questions that you have. So just contact us, or you can go on Facebook and find us at Midwest Canna Expos or Colton's Crew.
Just go Google it.
Facebook is great. We love Facebook. For whatever reason, cannabis people just get on Facebook a lot.
We're streaming there right now, and hopefully, we'll share those out in the channels. We'll give them all of your websites. Wendy, we can't thank you enough for coming on here. Please feel free to drop in anytime you've got some news that the people in Missouri here need to know, and all over. We've got listeners in Colorado and Arizona. We've had listeners in Nebraska.
I can't just talk to Craig all the time.
I can't take it anymore. This guy's the worst, Wendy. So thank you.
Well, one of these days when I'm on the road right now going to Indiana to take my daughter to a big ballet competition.
Nice.
So when I'm back in Missouri, I will make sure that Colton comes and sees you. He's an amazing kid with the crazy thoughts about all this stuff. He's been to the White House and to the Congress in many different states, and has done a lot of legislation. So he's somebody that you definitely need to talk to. This kid's amazing.
We get it. Your kid's great. Nobody likes a braggart, Wendy.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know, but I have rock star kids.
Well, he went to the White House, and now he'll finally get to come to Hoosier Sophisticate.
Yeah, so he can now he can just check them all off of his bucket list.
That's right.
We can't wait for you guys to come back through. Wait with bated breath. Thank you
much.
so much, Wendy. Please feel free to call in anytime. Good luck to your daughter at the ballet competition. Safe travels, and we can't thank you enough. Thanks.
All right. Thank you so much, guys. We'll talk to you soon.
Take care.
Bye.
Wendy Turner.
So good.
She's great.
Great story, man.
She's great.
We got to get the refugees are getting to come home, and we're going to have to stop sending them away, Craig.
We got to talk
Happy
to
day,
a
baby.
bunch of our friends and that are coming back home just from the industry. Went out to Colorado, went out to California, Oregon, back, and Seth is hammering on our mics. That means that we have to go to break. This is Hoosier Sophisticate on WGNU. Stick around. We got some streaming picks coming for you on the other side of the break.
A little something different for the St. Louis radio world.
He hasn't been sleeping in his bed. He'll come in our bed every night around 2:30, 3 o'clock.
Put up an electrical fence
Close
around
that
your
door
bed.
and lock it.
And I mean, that works both ways. I mean, there's lots of fun to be had, but also it keeps them out.
Here's the deal, though.
Crank up the voltage. It'd be like Jurassic Park. Just like, just blast that kid right away from the room. He'll never try to sleep in your bed again at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Actually, it'd probably be easier just to give him a shock collar.
Hoosier Sophisticate, Fridays from 6 to 8 p.m. here on WGNU.
You can get an insurance quote anywhere. What people are really looking for is someone to help manage the risk of everyday life. And that's exactly what James Carlton State Farm does. He's also dangerously handsome.
He has a dream in his eyes.
James Carlton has the best customer service in the game. You'll never get a voicemail, and you'll always get a great back rub.
He has the softest hands.
A strong sense of community is important to who he is as an agent. From local school sponsorships to sandbagging during floods, it's paramount to be a part of the community.
We love the cut of his jib.
Guys, call 314-961-4800. Find him online at carltoninsurance.net.
We wish he was our dad.
Lifetime.
Jill.
It lasts a lifetime.
Come on.
It lasts a lifetime. Yeah. And just go Google it. I wanna lay those shingles down, girl, for you. I wanna lay those shingles down, boy, for you. I'm gonna do James Hardy siding. Google it.
Roof that for a lifetime. You know I make your neighbors cry. Boo, cause we tell all the leaks go bye. And you know we all do the side.
James Hardy, boy, yeah. Guys, Lifetime Roofing. They're the best roofers in the game. Best customer service. LifetimeSTL.com. Google them.
Hey there, Krager.
Well, hey, Steve.
How you doing, buddy?
Man, I've been pretty good.
Well, that's good. Hey, you heard anything about them newfangled hemp oils they got now?
I just don't know where to find a good one.
Well, I find the best full spectrum hemp oil from MoCannBizCon.com.
Where?
I get it from MoCannBizCon.com.
Is it expensive?
It don't cost 2 kittens whiskers. And if you enter HOSO in the promo box, you're going to get yourself 15% off.
Buddy, it sounds like we're squatting tall cotton.
Darn right we are.
Where can I find them?
You can find them online, MoCannBizCon.com, Missouri Medical Cannabis Company.
Thanks, buddy. Yeah.
A tattoo, that's forever. A piece of art that represents something you're passionate about, a loved one, a memory, or maybe just some really cool design you want to be part of your body for life. Stop by Tower Classic Tattooing in the Grove and let one of their artists take your idea from your heart, soul, and mind and bring it to your skin. From the drawing table to the application itself, these artists hit a home run in every aspect of tattooing. Any style, any size, color, black and gray, doesn't matter, they got you covered. Got the itch to get inked? Check out their artist profiles at towerclassic.com. Tower Classic Tattoo, located at 4146 Manchester in the Grove.
Listen, insurance is not something you want to gamble on.
Yeah, what my associate's trying to say is that James Carlton State Farm is really cool. You're not even going to believe it. Like, let's say you're driving along on the road with your family, and you're driving along, patch of ice, can't quite stop, boom, you bump into the guy next to you. James Carlton's got somebody out there ready to take care of you 24/7. You call them at 314-961-4800. Now, here's what happens with the other guy's insurance. You're driving along, kids are in the backseat. Daddy, I got to go to the bathroom. Not now, damn it. Ice. You can't stop. Here comes the adjuster. Adjuster gets out. He says, oh, my God. New guy's in the corner puking his guts out. All because you want to save a couple extra pennies. To me, it just doesn't make much sense.
Guys, check out carltoninsurance.net, 314-961-4800. If your insurance is costing you a leg and an arm, call James Carlton, State Farm. Oh, do you want to learn how to grow high-quality medicine from 4 of the best minds in the cannabis industry? You do? That makes sense. Well, on April 6th, you'll get your chance. Learn to grow from a pro. Search it on Facebook. Find out all the information there. You will be learning from the best minds in the cannabis industry. Learn to grow from a pro.
The good people of St. Louis City can be quite sophisticated.
Here we are in a universe that has nothing in common with us. We're just a sort of cosmic fluke. And therefore, the only hope for mankind is to beat this irrational universe into submission.
And at other times, pretty Hoosier as well.
I tried this one chilling that set my mouth on fire and I had to drink a 2-liter of Mountain Dew.
Hoosier Sophisticate with Craig Kohler and Stephen Elgin. Fridays from 6 to 8 p.m. on WGNU 920 and streaming live at WGNU920am.com.
Technology has evolved so quickly that the people running capitalism from the top no longer understand the tools that are necessary for it. They have to pay guys with ponytails and piercings to turn on the machines every morning. And that must be very terrifying to them.
Hoosier Sophisticate on WGNU with your hosts, Craig Kohler and Stephen Elgin. Oh, yeah.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Hoosier Sophisticate. Steve and I got in a time machine.
Hey guys, I'm just a little kid.
We are joined by a couple of the most important lads that exist in our little reality. Hang on, don't touch it. Let our board op handle it. Okay?
If this phone rings again during our show, Ollie's about to see a different side of his dad.
We might have somebody important on the air. It could be, I don't know, boys.
I just hung up on him once.
Listen.
Will Smith.
Oh, it might be Will Smith. He has been known to tune in from
The
time
Aladdin.
to time.
We're doing Aladdin.
His Fridays are typically pretty
Open.
uneventful, and he likes to tune into Hoosier Sophisticate. Boys, we wanted to bring you in here. Well, one, because we kind of love you, and two, because
Kinda.
only kind of. Make sure you get up in that mic there, kiddo. Don't be afraid. The world wants to hear your sultry tones. We play a little game every week.
Okay.
Do you guys know the song? If Dad and I start singing it, are you guys going to be able to sing along with it? It goes like this. We like movies, so do we. We like internet, so do you. It's the streaming picks of the week in Netflix. It's the streaming picks of the week in Hulu too. It's the streaming picks of the week.
Sing the dang song,
We
boy!
like the internet too.
Guys, what have you been watching? Ollie, you can go ahead and lead us off.
Fortnite.
Fortnite videos
That's
on
all I
YouTube.
watch. That's all I watch.
I think that's super important because what we want to bring is a little perspective here. A lot of us olds, we're still on the main streaming networks. We're still paying for it. You guys spend a little bit of time on YouTube, don't you?
Yeah.
That's where you get most of your content, it seems like. So what is it? What's your favorite Fortnite stream going?
I like to watch Ninja and Tfue.
Ninja has like how many followers and subscribers?
About like 20 mil.
20 mil. This guy I saw get donated to him $35,000 from one other person, or $50,000 from one other person on a game of Fortnite, where the challenge was you can donate into their Twitch $500 at a time.
It was a charity stream for St. Jude.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
See, that's awesome.
Very cool.
How
no
cool is that?
wonder. So 50 grand raised for St. Jude in a
Technically
matter.
only 25. The streamer gets half the amount of money.
A way to be the businessman. I like where your head's at there.
But maybe he donated. Maybe he donated.
Ninja
his a
is
little bit.
rich beyond any of our wildest
He's
dreams.
had
at this
like
point.
4 studios.
It's amazing. He's got all the stuff. Does his episodes? Do they come out at a certain time? Like, is
Yeah.
there a schedule for YouTube?
He's Saturdays and Fridays at around 6 o'clock, I think.
Okay.
They start about like 6 and then they keep going on.
Is that something you guys are interested in, like seeing stuff as it first comes out, or are you okay with after it uploads?
I really don't care.
After it uploads.
Okay.
It's not like 2 years late.
Do any of them go live or anything?
Yeah, they go
most of them
live.
always go live on Twitch or
I
Mixer.
think Ninja always streams.
Yeah, Ninja always
He
is
streams 10 hours a day.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Ninja's always streaming, but he'll post his highlights on YouTube. And he
It's
still has-
unbelievable.
he
And
still
then
has,
He'll
like, he gets like
one of his streams, like part of his stream that he won on YouTube.
So when you boys go to school, like the next day after an awesome Ninja stream or something, is that what you guys are talking about with your buddies on the playground?
No. I'm usually getting chased by girls. So.
Oh, my man.
my
My man. Shoot or shoot. Okay. All right. So we talk about you guys, all right, you're watching Fortnite. What else is a cool YouTube show that maybe the olds need to be looking out for that's really entertaining for you guys?
do they do shows, like actual plot line shows?
You have to pay $10, and it's like it's kind of like Netflix. They'll have like it's
Movies.
YouTube Red, and there'll be like movies and shows made by the YouTubers,
Wow.
and some of them are pretty good.
That's on YouTube Red?
Yeah, it's YouTube Red. And it also gives you no ads, and you can go offline, and you can also download videos.
YouTube's our newest sponsor, so we're
I
giving them.
I
giving
don't
them
know anything about YouTube Red.
What about what are some of the cool sayings the kids are saying on
Catch me outside. How about that?
There it is.
No, it's not. No,
Give me them toes, boy.
Yeah.
Because I hear trash all the time. I hear
Wrecked noob.
Yeah. Funny story. Ivan is all mad. Ivan is 3 and he's getting pretty good at Fortnite. If anybody's little ninja in training, hopefully, but he'll play with Oliver's big brother and they take turns and Oliver was they're getting into it. And I'll be damned if he doesn't turn around as mad as the day is long to Oliver and go, I'm going to suck you at Fortnite.
He did say that. He did
this
say
guy
that.
is-
He did say that. He's like, Alva, I'm so mad. I'm going to suck you in Fortnite.
I'm going to suck you at Fortnite. I'm like, what does that even mean? He was mad. I got what he was saying, but I was like, holy cow.
And he said, I'm going to suck you in Granny.
I don't know what the
Granny's.
Oh, okay.
Granny's home.
Okay.
Granny's house. There's also these people.
We're going to get
FGTV.
copyrighted.
Yeah.
You do FGTV?
I haven't watched them in a while. I used to.
Just a family. They record pretty much everything, and then the dad makes some funny songs every once in a while. Ivan almost has his whole song memorized with dance moves and stuff.
Granny's house.
Yeah, it's called Granny's house, and they'll get stuck in your head too. He's a wormhole.
He's an earworm. Anything you want. What's something you're watching?
On Netflix, there's a show called Greenhouse Academy, and it's like it's kind of like Harry Potter almost. There's like 2 classes. There's the Ravens, which are more the intelligent people, and there's the Eagles, who are the more athletic people, and it's the school for leaders.
Okay.
And then there's these, and like on both sides there's like astronauts, and then there's like first responders and all that you can train to be. And then
Is this a fictitious world, or is this like
Kind of like Harry Potter. It's all kind of
no,
like
it's like a real world with like more advanced technology.
Okay. Is it in the future or is it now?
No, it's now.
It's now.
Yeah, but they just made it like more advanced technology.
Okay.
cool, man. That sounds pretty
How old are
neat.
you, Landon?
11.
11. Oliver's 9. Just for a
No,
little
I'm
perspective.
34.
34.
Yeah, I'm 34 and an 11-year-old's body.
There you go.
Okay.
Okay. So you're like number 5 in the Umbrella Academy.
No, but
Which
he's 58.
Which was my pick last week. I got to finish it this week.
was
And
supposed to
buddy,
be my pick.
exactly. You know what? We can talk about it a little bit without giving anything away.
My dad stole Fuller House because he's mean.
Last week I let in
Barely
with a little bit. I was only like 3 episodes in, but I was telling you that I could tell they were building some pretty cool characters, buddy. In
You
the
get there?
in the last three episodes, it's a 10-episode season. It is. Landon warned me. Landon finished it before I
tried
did.
telling him.
He tried to tell me. He said, "Listen, Dad, you're better off just not watching the last 2 episodes
What?
until there's new episodes because they're gonna leave you hanging." And I'm like,
And
pitter patter.
it ain't just like what's like just some like random little cliffhanger and like books.
No, it was.
It's like
It turned our world upside down.
yeah, it's
Okay.
Yeah, it turned our world upside down for sure. If you guys haven't checked it out yet, it's a Netflix original, Umbrella Academy. It's about these superhero kids. It was really a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Check it out. It's
like
cool.
their parents like just randomly got pregnant. And
Yeah.
it gave birth just at random like
Yeah, all 43 women gave birth on the same day. That's how the
Exact
show
same
opens
time.
up.
Yeah.
Same exact
Exact
time.
same time.
The thing they all had in common was that they didn't wake up that day pregnant. So they just, spontaneously gave
Magic.
birth.
And so this one dude, he adopted all of them and he trained them.
An eccentric billionaire basically
So
bought
it
'em.
takes 7 episodes to get going, though.
Well, no, I mean there's still
Oh,
plenty
no.
there's still
It takes,
plenty of
like, 2
action.
episodes to
Yeah,
get
there's
started.
still plenty of
The
action.
last 3, just wait.
Yeah, the last 3 are great.
Jesus Lord.
No, this is what I deal with, Steve. This is
can't.
I hope you
'em
can
out
get a
of
little
here.
perspective.
Okay. What
are
have
you
I
watching?
been watching, Steve? Oh, pretty cool. It's you told me a little bit about Free Solo.
Oh, buddy. Buddy.
Ollie, that was a movie we were watching with the guy who was climbing El Cap with no rope, just a chalk bag. Alex Honnold,
I like chalk.
he goes up and he tries to climb this mountain, El Cap in Yellowstone, using no ropes. Does he do it? I don't know. Does he even
I hope
try it
he does.
again? He fails a few times, climbs with
buddy.
some ropes. It was some of the most gripping television I have ever seen in my
You're on the edge of your like
My hands sweat. They never sweat. I go up high and I'm pretty fine. If I'm loose or not attached or I don't have guardrail, I don't feel that stable. Like if I'm on a ledge, that ain't me. But if I'm up high, it doesn't bother me if I feel safe.
Right.
He has to take his fingertips.
The pinch grip.
He's hanging by. He puts his thumb down and squeezes his fingers down into a ledge that is like a quarter laying at a 45-degree angle.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing he has to
His
hold
entire body weight.
His entire body weight. These guys are
They're insane.
Insane shape. The guy was up to
the
fingerboard in his van, just doing pull-ups like a madman. And I actually watched if you like that, you're gonna love Dawn Wall too. Tommy Cauldron, I believe his name is. Tommy, the guy who goes up with them and helps them, who was the best climber in the world for a while. He tries to make his own route up the Dawn Wall, which is also at Yellowstone I think on the other side of El Cap. They have all these different routes, and it has the hardest amount of routes. At one point, there's a bare spot, just a bare wall. So you have to either jump or climb around it. They're using ropes though, so they get to try it. They had 17 or 19 days on the wall.
And talking about Tommy, there was even a part in Free Solo where he's like, oh, man, he goes, everybody that does free soloing, it dies. Anybody that's ever done free soloing to be famous or a free solo celebrity is dead. Yep. It's almost a certainty. So it was interesting to see all of these guys who are shooting a documentary with a friend of theirs, a good friend of theirs. They spend, a countless amount of time. And how about the journals that he's keeping? He's got every pinch grip, every hold all the way up.
Memorized too.
And absolutely. He knows exactly. I mean, he's done it so many times with a rope. He's tried different paths, maybe without it.
His amygdala doesn't work like other people.
Doesn't process the fear
and stress.
Yeah. Yes. Unreal, man.
You gotta, the trust you have in the wall itself, the sheer face of granite, because in Dawn Wall, they're doing what he's trying to jump and the part breaks off. So they're like, now what? That part that you were supposed to jump on, that was the route, is now broken off. And I guess they have ropes that are up there most of the time.
Well, they definitely have.
But you're gonna trust those old
carabiners and hooks to go into. I know
it makes me. Jenny was like, I don't know if I can watch this.
And they show the kind of the pioneers that did it back in the 60s who took weeks,
There's
a month to get up
Valley
there.
Uprising is one of the best movies. It's all the guys who came before.
Unreal, man.
Did you guys ever mountain climb?
Can you ask us more questions?
Yeah,
Would you ever
mountain climb?
I would.
Yeah, without a rope.
No, I would die the first thing, like when I first.
With an attitude like that, you certainly would.
But what do you consider a rope?
I'll
just use a chain then.
A climbing rope?
I'll use a chain. I'll wrap it around my neck.
That's a bad choice, Ollie.
It's his
going
exit.
dark.
He's going dark. I
He's
can
going
appreciate
dark.
it. All right, boys. You got 3 minutes here. Let's talk. Let's look into the eyes of an 11 and 9-year-old here. Who's the coolest music act going right now?
I like this.
To me, most people won't agree, but Green Day.
You like Green Day?
Green Day.
You know what's awesome about that, son? I've told you this before, but when I was 10, 11 years old, Dookie was on constant rotation. Basket Case, When I Come Around. And what's funny is I was telling Landon that he's like, yeah, I'm more of kind of an American Idiot guy. And I can appreciate that. That's cool, man. So like our Venn diagram is finally crossing a little bit, because before I'm like, oh man, I don't know, Landon. I don't know if I can get on board with this.
Betty Wap.
Yeah, or whatever, Soulja Boy or whoever else is going.
You sound like an idiot.
I know.
Ollie,
So,
who you loving?
Who you love? Who you listening to, Ollie?
I'm listening to.
Get on that microphone, kid.
I'm listening to Post Malone stuff.
Post Malone, Dad of the Year.
Actually he's played me a couple good songs, but pick something better.
Post
Like Eminem or something.
You know what?
like
Hey,
that.
didn't your dad take you to a show like a few months ago? That was pretty awesome.
Yeah, AJR guy.
Oh yeah, AGR is good.
AJR is pretty good. They're real super poppy. I love them. Jenny and I, we're
We went
pop
to a
through and through.
concert.
Yeah, how'd you enjoy your first live concert? Okay, compare the live concert to the Fortnite concert.
Oh, the Marshmallow concert. Yeah.
Oh, that one.
I think the AJR one was better because I got to actually see it like live happening in front of my face and stuff. Because the Fortnite one, you were watching on a screen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Well, that's good. That's good. You guys still have a foot in the physical world, which is nice. But the marshmallow thing was pretty cool, though, right? Like you
That was lit.
you've got friends all over the globe. Do you guys have different buddies that you're playing Fortnite with?
I was at Ben and Joe's house while this was happening. They were playing like this marshmallow. They were playing the event. They're freaking out. I heard Joe upstairs. He was just like yelling like, "This is lit!"
Yeah, no, the Kessler kids.
That sounds
shout out to
right.
Brian Kessler. That's what I was on it accidentally, and then they sent me snaps of their kids losing their mind with my kid, and I was like, "Oh, this is a whole deal, worldwide deal." I mean, it's a way to sell more tickets
Listen,
than if you're playing at the Riverport.
We talked about this. This is exciting to me because I think the NBA has an Oculus Rift thing now where you can sit courtside and watch a game with the Oculus Rift, and I thought that just got my wheels turning a little bit. What if that whole front row was cameras at a concert, and let's say the Who, they're coming to Riverport in May, but let's say they're at Wembley, okay, and they're going to do one big show. They're going to pack Wembley, but also anybody sitting at home in the comfort of their own living room can throw on their Oculus goggles and be up on Pete and Roger Daltrey and all these guys and just be at the show. I almost think it's a really nice little in addition to kind of thing. I don't know that now that you've had a taste of the live music experience, I don't know that you can ever replace that. You know what I mean? Like the feeling of the music going through you and being able to dance with strangers next to you. But it's pretty cool that you guys, can tune into a Marshmello concert. Your buddy's still down the street at his house, and you guys can also share in this experience. So you guys got a lot to look forward to with technology.
I would much prefer a live concert.
Roblox are gonna take over the world.
He's been listening to his dad.
Yeah, China's coming for us.
He's been listening to his dad.
Take a bunker. Take a bunker.
Listen, boys, you guys make us proud. We love you. And the world gets to see, how cool kids that we have. You've done us one parting thought to give our crowd before we wrap this up. What are you going to give them?
Make a bunch of tinfoil hats and dig a bunker.
Subscribe to PewDiePie.
Or Mycelial Media.
Don't subscribe to Mycelial Media. Unsubscribe.
All right. Get out of here. Go play your games. We love you, kids. Hey, everybody, how much we love our second hour sponsors.
All
Guys,
of our sponsors.
what do you know about Lifetime Roofing? Roof? What do you got? Lifetime.
Oh, he knows the rap. He knows the rap. He gets it. Get those kids
Thanks,
out
boys.
of here. All right, Lifetime Roofing. They make a lot of this happen. Missouri MoCannBizCon. We love them. We love James Carlton. Guys, roofing, insurance, hemp oil. We're your guys. And if you want a tattoo or go somewhere to hang,
tattoo, go and get you one.
God, that thing still looks so good.
Oh, buddy, it looks like the day it was done.
It looks.
I mean, it's
so
bold. Tower Classic Tattooing down in the Grove, Parlor STL. We got a chance to hang out with our buddies down there. Did the kids mess with the? I'll go and get them.
I think they did. I think they messed with the audio. So
listen, check out our sponsors, guys. Lifetime Roofing makes the second hour possible. It's been windy as all get out. I saw a couple shingles in my yard. Now I got to figure out if they're mine or my Hoosier neighbors. I don't know. It could be one or the other. I'm going to call Lifetime Roofing up. I'm going to say, hey, guys, take a look at my humble little abode. Are they my shingles or are they my Hoosier neighbors? I don't know.
Help me out here.
Give me a little
a drone out here.
It's a good thing that I'm insured by James Carlton in case anything's gone awry.
I wish he was my dad.
Me too. MoCannBizCon, guys, for all of your hemp oil CBD needs, check out the hemp honey 500 milligram. I put a little bit in my coffee and it gets my day started right. I've had some fun tonight, buddy. Shane Mauss gets me going.
I know.
Guys, if you haven't checked out the Here We Are podcast, if you want a funny perspective on science, on some psychedelic talk, Shane, he's great, man. And search out all of his interviews with Joe Rogan and Duncan Trussell. If you really want to get out there on some of his great psychedelic stories, check out Psychonautic. Go rent or buy it. It's awesome. You will not regret spending that $5 or $12, depending on if you want to rent or own it. And then also just check them out. The Here We Are podcast. It's great. Wendy Turner, Colton's crew, Illegally Healed. She was a part of this whole MoCan trade thing that came to town here. man, they did a bang up job. It was really neat to make friends. How many friends did we make, man?
Oh, I love all those people. Check out the
Farmers,
interviews.
extractors. Check out Hoosier Sophisticate Facebook page. Check out Mycelial Media on YouTube. And, make sure that you're getting all that information. We got a lot of great feedback. We grew the community. It was really cool, buddy. I had a good time with you this week.
Missouri cannabis is coming. I'm so proud of the way everyone was so passionate the first part of this week, and it's only going to grow from there. I love you, St. Louis. I love to see my hometown growing. It was awesome, and this is just the beginning. We thank you so much for joining us on this journey, because we had so many people come up to us at the conference and say, "Who's your Sophisticate?" I never knew that. We don't know anyone's listening or watching besides Jenny and Missy. We don't know that, but we love you guys. Thank you so much for getting weird with us. We'll catch you next time.
And thank you, Jenny and Missy, for putting up with a couple of bobos like us,
so much.
for helping us raise two great little gentlemen that we brought in here. Missy was moving and shaking at the conference this week. I wish Jenny could have been there too. It was awesome. We had the little mixer on Sunday night. That was super cool at the Onget Arts Hotel.
Wow.
A lot of cool stuff, man. St. Louis, people always want to dog on what's going on downtown. St. Louis is hopping.
Yep.
St. Louis is hopping. It's a beautiful town. Make sure you're getting out and about, seeing where you fit into this community. We love you, St. Louis. This is Hoosier Sophisticate on WGNU 920 AM. We will see you next week.
Question, you want to put that up there? You can do it on Facebook, and we'll get a look at that. We'll be right back.
Thank you for joining us. This has been an FISM production. The opinions you